Pakistan's record on terrorism and civilian attacks has once again come under global scrutiny. At the United Nations Security Council debate on protection of civilians, India strongly condemned Islamabad for what it called a long history of genocidal acts, cross-border terrorism, and deadly strikes on Afghan civilians. From air raids during Ramadan to decades of terror sponsorship across South Asia, Pakistan's actions are increasingly being viewed as a threat to regional peace and civilian security. A report.
As highlighted in the UNSC's report, the use of missiles, bombs and other explosive weapons in cities and populated areas remain a major cause of civilian harm.
India launched a sharp attack on Pakistan at the United Nations after fresh documentation exposed the scale of civilian casualties caused by Pakistani military operations inside Afghanistan. India's permanent representative to the UN, Ambassador Parvat Haneni Harish, accused Pakistan of carrying out indiscriminate cross-border attacks that have devastated Afghan civilians. According to the United Nations Assistance Mission in Afghanistan, nearly 750 civilian deaths and injuries were documented in just the first 3 months of 2026 due to cross-border armed violence linked to Pakistani military forces. India highlighted that out of 95 documented incidents involving civilian casualties, 94 were attributed directly to Pakistani security forces.
It is ironic that Pakistan, with its long tainted record of genocidal acts, has chosen to refer to issues that are strictly internal to India. The United Nations Assistance Mission in Afghanistan has reported that in the first 3 months of 2026, 750 civilian deaths and injuries were documented in Afghanistan as a result of cross-border armed violence perpetrated by Pakistani military forces, most of which occurred due to airstrikes.
India also drew attention to one of the deadliest incidents blamed on Pakistan this year, the airstrike on Kabul's Omid Addiction Treatment Hospital during the holy month of Ramadan. The attack reportedly took place after evening prayers when patients and civilians were leaving the mosque premises attached to the hospital. According to UNMA findings cited by India, the strike killed 269 civilians and injured another 122. The targeting of a medical facility during a sacred religious period triggered outrage across Afghanistan, where anti-Pakistan sentiment has been steadily rising over repeated military incursions, drone strikes and civilian casualties in border regions. Pakistan's military has long justified such operations as counter-terror missions targeting Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan hideouts. But critics argue Islamabad's actions have increasingly blurred the line between military operations and collective punishment of civilians.
The world has not forgotten that it was during the holy month of Ramadan in March this year, at a time of peace, reflection and mercy, that Pakistan conducted a barbaric airstrike on the Omid Addiction Treatment Hospital in Kabul. Again, according to UNAMA, this cowardly and unconscionable act of violence claimed the lives of 269 civilians and injured a further 122 in a facility which can by no means be justified as a military target.
The latest accusations add to Pakistan's long and controversial record in the region. Over the years, Islamabad has repeatedly faced allegations of supporting extremist proxies while simultaneously carrying out harsh military operations against ethnic communities and border populations. In Afghanistan, Pakistani airstrikes in Khost, Paktika and Kunar provinces have repeatedly resulted in civilian deaths, including women and children. Afghan authorities and local communities have accused Pakistan of violating sovereignty and using disproportionate force. At the same time, Pakistan continues to face allegations of enforced disappearances, extrajudicial killings and military crackdowns in Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. New Delhi also used the platform to once again highlight the dangers of cross-border terrorism emanating from Pakistan. For decades, India has accused Pakistan-based terror outfits of orchestrating attacks across Jammu and Kashmir and other parts of the country. Groups such as Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed, both designated terrorist organizations internationally, have repeatedly been linked to deadly attacks on Indian civilians and security personnel. New Delhi maintains that Pakistan continues to provide ideological, financial and logistical support to terror networks despite international pressure.
India remains deeply concerned about the persistent threat posed by cross-border terrorism, which continues to undermine regional peace, stability, and the fundamental principles of international security. India has been a victim of such form of terrorism for decades. States that sponsor, shelter, or support terrorism must be held accountable.
India further noted that more than 94,000 people have reportedly been displaced due to cross-border violence linked to Pakistani military operations against Afghan civilians. The remarks at the United Nations once again placed Pakistan under international focus over its dual track record, projecting itself as a victim of terrorism while facing growing accusations of exporting instability, sheltering terrorist networks, and carrying out deadly operations against civilians both within and beyond its borders.